Hi there, thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Cece, and today we are doing an end of the year video. I'm going to be talking about my favorite songs, my favorite EPs and albums that I've listened to in 2022, the ones that I am just in love with to this day. And of course, not everything that I have listened to this year is going to make it on this list because not everything is my favorite. But a lot of things have made on this list, and I am so excited to talk about them and talk about why I like them. I don't really have like that detailed of a script for this. I just have the list of my favorite songs and albums, so I think that's how I structured it last year. I never remember how I structure these types of videos. Oh, also behind me is an early Christmas present. I got a vinyl of Halsey's album, If I Can't Have Love. It's a vinyl of Halsey's album, If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power. It's like one of my absolute favorite albums ever. It didn't come out this year, it came out last year. I definitely talked about it in last year's video. But anyways, I want to get to talking about the music of this year. So if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome. Feel free to subscribe and let's get into this reaction. Or I guess review. That's what I meant to say. I want to start off with definitely one of my favorites this year was Dirt Femme by Tove Lo. I'd listened to so many of the songs and I just think the album as a whole is amazing. I mean, are you kidding? The sound that she has, and apparently this is like her first like independent album, or like her first album as an independent artist, and that's impressive. Of course, the first song that I'm going to bring up is the song No One Dies From Love. I reacted to this before the whole album and I immediately fell in love with it. I think the sound is so great. It has not gotten old on me. Nothing about the song has gotten old for me. But the sound is just, I love the 80s synthesizing sound, her voice, and the music video too. I like watching the music video. It's kind of hard to choose like a couple more songs from this album that I really like since I listen to a lot of them, but I think the ones that I have been listening to the most besides No One Dies From Love is Pineapple Slice and Grapefruit. Grapefruit has really grown on me. I don't think I was that into the song when I first heard it with the album, but I love it now. The lyrics are probably my favorite part of it. She's just so honest in the song. I know there's other music videos for Grapefruit and I think To Die For, but I haven't seen them yet. I think I mentioned that I was going to react to those videos as like a reaction video, but I'll eventually get to that. The next album I want to talk about is Crash by Charli XCX. This album came out like earlier in the year and I still listen to a lot of it today. I think Charli did an amazing job with this album. Definitely one of my favorite Charli albums. I think Crash is such an outstanding standout album for her. Good Ones. I've listened to that song at least 1,000 times. I'm pretty sure it made it onto my top 5 Spotify Wrapped for this year because I listened to it so much. It's such a catchy song. I don't think that song's ever gonna get old for me. Okay, next on my list is Born Pink by Blackpink. I definitely think I liked their first album more because that album has Pretty Savage. But Born Pink has Happiest Girl. Happiest Girl or Type of Girl are the standout songs for me on Born Pink. I just love those two so much. And the contrast. I don't really have that much to say about this album. I just know I wanted to put it on my list because it might not be my favorite Blackpink album, but it's definitely one of my favorite albums of 2022. Next one I want to talk about is Panorama by Hayley Kiyoko. Obviously, Hayley Kiyoko's album Panorama, such a good album. The songs are great. It was such a good experience on the first listen. I love Chance, even though Chance came out last year, so I don't think I should really count it as a song for this video, but I do want to briefly mention it since it's a part of this album and because one of my favorite songs on the album. I have like several songs listed here from Panorama. I have Well, I like listening to that one, especially since that I have a personal attachment to from personal experience. Deep in the Woods, I know why that one's on my list because it reminds me of The Wilds. And Sugar at the Bottom, I know when I first listened to the album, I didn't like Sugar at the Bottom that much. It didn't really mean that much to me. Like I kind of was like, okay, this is like a skip. Then I started listening to it more and more and more, and now I listen to it a lot. It just all of a sudden became catchy. Well, maybe over time it became catchy. I don't think it was all of a sudden. But now it's one of the ones I listen to the most off of Panorama. Next, I want to talk about Banish the Banshee by Isaac Dunbar. First off, I want to mention how over the moon I still am that Isaac Dunbar watched my reaction to that EP. That's the first time any singer has like listen to any of my reactions. Like that's definitely a highlight of this year for me. But I think this is probably one of his best pieces of work because he keeps on growing music wise, and it looks like his next thing is going to be an album, and I'm really excited for this album. If his music keeps on evolving and growing, and this was a really good project, I can't even imagine how great the album's going to be. Bleach is definitely a standout song. That is a masterpiece. Like I think it came out last year, but I definitely started listening to it more this year. It took me a while to appreciate it, and now I appreciate it so much. And the other song that stands out to me on that project is Fool's Paradise. It's so emotional. It's so emotional. And that one part close to the end where it just changes the maybe it's that, maybe I'm a little bit delusional. Like that part always gets me. It always gets me. Next up is Emails I Can't Send by Sabrina Carpenter. This is another artist where I feel like their music has really evolved over the years. This is definitely the album that has gotten her the most attention. Like the most people have discovered Sabrina through Emails I Can't Send. I have known her since 2014. Can't Blame a Girl for Trying. I have been a fan of Sabrina Carpenter that long. But anyways, enough of that bragging or whatever that is. Compared to all of the other albums, as great as they are, I feel like this is the most personal one that Sabrina has done. She's really had the chance to just delve more into her lyrics, be more personal, talk about things she's never really talked about before. A good example of this is, I mean, a lot of the songs, but two specific ones that really just showcase how personal Sabrina is being in this album is the title track, Emails I Can't Send, as well as Because I Liked a Boy. Those are like two of my favorites off of the album. Because I Liked a Boy, that chorus, when I first heard that, it really caught me off guard. I was like, wait a second, she's talking about this. And Emails I Can't Send is just, deep in the feels, emotional. I'm vibing with it, girl. I did a cover on that song. I love it, and I'm attached to it. Okay, I have one more album and one more EP on my list before I talk about the independent songs. I wanted to put Stagger on this list because I have really been discovering Poppy this year. I think I started discovering her last year. Whenever Flux came out, that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna really listen to her music. And I've created so many videos reacting to her stuff. I have a whole series on it. And I also want to say, before I talk about Stagger specifically, how I really like the viewers that watch all of my Poppy videos. Like, you guys are amazing. I love reading your comments, and it's always great looking forward to seeing like those specific usernames and profile pictures. When I'm looking at the comments, I'm like, okay, like I know this person watched all my other Poppy videos and they're back, and it's good to see you. It's good to see you, bestie. But that's mainly why I wanted to put Stagger on this list. I think the EP itself, definitely don't think it was my favorite Poppy project, but maybe I'm just saying that because I've heard a lot of her stuff this year. So maybe I'm just like, wow, compared to those other albums and EPs, Stagger just doesn't really stand out to me. I do really like the song Pocket. Now, the last album that I want to talk about, it definitely came out this year, but I didn't really discover it until like a few months after it came out, is Preacher's Daughter by Ethel Cain. The story behind this is that I was recommended to listen to it back when it first came out, but I was like, oh, Preacher's Daughter doesn't sound like something I'm interested in listening to. I think a few months later, I don't know where I saw this. I saw somewhere that Ethel Cain is like a trans icon, and I was like, wait a second. Ethel Cain. That name sounds familiar. And so I read about her being trans, and then I refound the comment and I was like, okay, I'll make a reaction. And I do not regret listening to this album. Preacher's Daughter is a masterpiece. Normally when songs are really long, longer than like 4 or 5 minutes, I just cannot keep my attention on it. I have a very short attention span. So if a song is like really long, chances are it's not going to be something I care about. But somehow she was really able to just keep me glued into these songs, especially Ptolemaea, however you pronounce it. That one specifically, that one's like, I think 7 minutes long, and I can listen to that whole thing. I love that song so much. The screaming that she does in the middle, like it's chilling. And I read about that song. I like the song to the point that I read about it, read more about like what's going on with it. It's creepy, it's eerie, it's so good. Gibson Girl is another song on this album that I have really listened to. I don't think it's as long as some of the others, but it's really grown on me and I like listening to it. I feel so sexy listening to it. Now that I have talked about my favorite albums and the songs that are associated with those albums, I want to go into the songs that weren't part of any EPs or albums. The first one I'm going to mention is Coast by Hailee Steinfeld. That song was my top song of the year. I have listened to that song every day, almost every day. It's crazy how addicted to that song I am. I'm listening to that song when it's 30 degrees and I was so excited when the music video came out too. Like, it's so fun. Hailee looks so great in the music video. There's actually like a little story going on with the video. Hailee Steinfeld and Anderson .Paak do an amazing job with the song, and the acoustic version is so great too. I have to put that one in there. I have to mention it. I also have to mention Hot Girl by Charli XCX. That isn't a part of the Crash album. It was a separate one, I think, for a movie. I can't lie and say it's not catchy. It's a very catchy song, and I had to mention it because I listen to it so much. It's also addicting. I haven't listened to it as much as Coast, but I have listened to it a lot. I also want to talk about Showed Me How I Fell in Love with You by Madison Beer. I didn't react to this song on my channel. I reacted to a couple other songs that came out this year, which were I've Never Felt More Alive and Dangerous. They didn't really do that much for me. It makes me wish I did a reaction to Showed Me because I love that song. I listen to it a lot. It gives me 50s, 60s vibes. I don't know if there's like a sample in there or not. I wouldn't be surprised if there is because of how it sounds. I love it. I love listening to it. And the video is so great too, if you haven't seen the video. I'm gonna mention a couple more songs that were connected together but aren't part of anything. And those are TV and The 30th by Billie Eilish. I absolutely love TV and The 30th. I think Billie's voice is just amazing in that song, and I love the lyrics too. I love listening to the lyrics, especially TV, just like laying down, listening to the song. I'm pretty sure I did a cover for the song too. I think it's one of my favorite covers that I've done. And that performance she did on YouTube, I just, so good. And The 30th is such a great song too, especially the part where like she starts singing those lyrics faster and stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy how much that gives me chills. And I think it would be so cool if Billie's next project sounded kind of like those. I'll be okay if it doesn't, but if Billie's next project sounds like those two songs, I'm not ready, but I will enjoy it. Those are my standout albums and EPs and songs. If you made it this far watching, thank you. But I also want to know what your favorite albums and songs and like projects that you've listened to this year are. Please let me know down in the comments if it's stuff that I also listed, if it's stuff that I didn't list. Like this video and subscribe for more. I have done plenty of reactions, covers. I will put stuff on my screen for you to watch if you would like to. And I hope to see you next year in my next video. Bye!